Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm going to discuss the top 10 movies in which a home, plays a critical role in a story, and we get a great movie because of it. And the reason I'm making this movie is I'm getting ready to move. I'm getting a house, finally. We are in that process, and I'm packing up, DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks, and in that process I was just kind of looking through and seeing what might match this theme, and I had a few ground rules that I wanted to lay out here. First, one, we are talking about a house, not an apartment. Sorry, Jack Lemmon. Not a mansion. Sorry, The Shining. A house, okay? Number two, it has to the house has to play a key role in the story. Now, it doesn't have to be ever present in the entire story, but some part of the conflict, the initiating event, whatever, that has to really be like a key piece of the plot. And three, it really is just like stuff that's personal to me, and I didn't want it to be like all scary haunted house stuff. So those are my rules. Of course, these are objective and just for fun and just something I've been doing as I've been packing up movies and so forth. I've left a few movies out. And I did want to give a little honorable mention here, of course, to Wizard of Oz. I've got this little flip booklet that I haven't packed yet, just because like the whole thing happens because of the house, falling, and you kind of have to talk about the Wizard of Oz when you're talking about houses because there's no place like home, but it's still not quite like what I'm getting at in this list. Okay, what does get at that also stars Judy Garland is my number 10 pick, Meet Me in St. Louis, one of the greatest musicals of all time, in which a young girl and her family don't want to leave their home because they love St. Louis and they love the house they have, and their father wants to move elsewhere. And one of the greatest scenes in that movie, in that musical, takes place with Judy Garland at home inside, looking out at her yard and the snowmen and singing "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." That is a great house scene, and some of the best parts happen in the house, including this wonderful number that she does with her little sister where they like entertain some guests, in the living room. It's a great movie where you get to see a lot of the house and a lot of there's even a whole like conversation that the characters are trying to like figure out what this one girl, like, is she talking to her boyfriend or not? Like, it's kind of entertaining. That happens in the house. Great house movie. All right. Great movie in general. But that's not housey enough, is it? You know what is housey enough? Number 9. A movie where the whole thing is like centered around the house. 2018, there was this movie, a Chile movie, and it was supposed to be like a fake propaganda film for this like cult kind of thing. It's a little bit, you'll see if you watch it, but it's called The Wolf House. This thing is like a stop motion, dark fantasy, science fiction nightmare. It is an artistic achievement, and you have to talk around the spoilers, but imagine that the big bad wolf is like involved in like some really disturbing like little kid animation, stop motion. It's so creepy. It's a movie that I wanted to mention here because, again, it's kind of hard to talk around the spoilers, but you should look it up if you're into like interesting visual movies, especially stop motion. Look that up. The Wolf House. All right. Another house, another scary. I'm not going to do all scary movies and all scary houses, but I have to mention one that I really love, and I know this is one that my found footage haters, you're going to hate that I put this on here, but I absolutely love Hell House LLC. And it's a house, and I'm going to count it as a house because they use it as a house, right? It's supposed to be a haunted house, and these kids, these teenagers, they come in and they like are trying to make this haunted house for a night or a few nights and make some money, but then they find out the place actually has something demonic happening, and like there's some stuff in the basement and there's some clowns, and it has some original jump scares, and there are multiple films of this, but the original Hell House has that great found footage formula where you learn a little bit at a time. A few scares are given in small doses. There's a creepy thing with the piano, and one of the clowns, like the guy's like walking around and then the clown is like not where it's supposed to be. Definitely top tier haunted house stuff if you like found footage. And I had to talk about it. I also like Origins. Origins is good too. So if you haven't seen Origins but you like that one, you should give it a shot, okay? Now I wanted a what about okay? I wanted a movie that was a little bit the opposite of that. Something that was more serious, something that was more pensive, and maybe even a little bit too dramatic and like sweet for its own good, with a good actor. So there's this movie that James Cromwell stars in called Still Mine. It's a 2012 film about this older man whose wife, for different reasons medically, is going to need him to kind of make a house that is a little bit more suited to what she needs. And he has to fight through all this like red tape concerning the construction of the house because the way he wants to build it and knows how to build it doesn't necessarily match up with like government regulations. And it, you can kind of criticize it a little bit, like maybe the politics are a little bit like misrepresented or something, but I really think it's an entertaining movie, especially just seeing this old grouchy guy who just wants to get something done his way with his rules. I liked it. Still Mine is a movie I really enjoyed. So let's go back to creepy houses. Here's my damaged copy of The Others, Nicole Kidman. The whole thing's a house, right? It's not a mansion, is it? Oh no, I'm in the middle of filming and I don't know if I've broken my own rule. Let's call it a house. It's a haunted house. And there's a really good twist, right? Because it's a ghost story about this, World War II spookiness going on. She's got her kids there and you don't really know exactly what's up. Good one. I don't love the cover though, especially my cover because it's cracked. That was just damaged, my fault. But I had to throw The Others in there. Not a haunted house, but some creepy stuff does happen with Sid in Toy Story, the original Toy Story. Man, I was in 4th grade or 5th grade, one of those, when this came out, and this blew our minds. How much the house is the entire environment for the protagonist and the other protagonist slash antagonist in Buzz Lightyear, and the way that like the army soldiers have to like use parts of the house to like sneak around, and the way the toys have to interact with with humans based on whether or not they're in the room. That is a movie that I think makes great use of atmosphere that happens to be, in this case, a house. And of course, when they leave the house, that's such a big deal, right? Oh gosh, we're like out of the house. We're out here doing stuff. And they learn that not all homes are created equal. The skeleton kid, the skull kid, the Sid, right? Is that, Okay, in addition to Toy Story, go a different direction. There is a Ray Winstone movie with, it's got Ben Kingsley in it. And it's called Sexy Beast. And it's Sexy Beast. And if you haven't heard of this or you haven't seen it, it's way more serious in tone than it sounds like it is. Ray Winstone has this beautiful villa home, and he's got like a swimming pool, and he's just trying to enjoy his life now that he's kind of retired from organized crime. And what does Ben Kingsley do? He comes back and he like cusses him out and makes him try to participate in this crime. And most of the tension in that movie with the characters arguing and you're wondering if someone's going to get killed happens right there in the house. And what starts out as this like pretty swimming pool kind of shots on the outside becomes really claustrophobic inside of the house. And I think it does a good job with that because the house is sort of isolated a little bit. And instead of focusing on all this outlandish stuff that could be happening outside of the house in the streets, it's a different take on crime involving a house. All right. Now the last 3 are really the ones that kind of first came to mind when I was like brainstorming this video. And I haven't packed these movies up yet because I knew I was probably going to make this video. Okay. My pick for the best art direction in the history of movies, like the movie that I think made the most use of like interior decorating, that kind of thing, in the inside of a house, was this classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The actual inside of this house where all of the craziness goes on is so perfectly decorated because it's a little dirty, it's a little scary, it's a little creepy, it's a little kooky, it's a little funny. It mixes so many, like the fact that there's just a generator outside that terrifies you. The way that the way that there's that door and there's the thing with the hammer and then there's like the dinner table, the dinner table that happens inside the house. The fact that the upstairs gets used so well when they're like seeing the old relatives and stuff, like totally one of the best movie houses ever, right? I mean, this has to be it. And I really want to rewatch the one with Jessica Biel, yeah, to get a comparison. So this is my favorite interior, like decorating, maybe in any movie. So I just love this thing so much. Okay. I wanted to include at least one movie in here that was like big brain philosophical and beautiful with great cinematography and great acting that wasn't linear, much like The Wolf House isn't linear if you watch that movie. Well, where do you go to for something like that? You go to a movie that I refer to all the time called Mirror by Andrei Tarkovsky. This is a reflection, in some ways, of a poet, poetry, Russian history. So much of this movie revolves around the memories of someone in this home. And of course, there's a fire near the home. And some of these shots inside this place are just absolutely incredible. And I need to watch Mirror again. It's been a while. I didn't understand half of what I was watching, but man, it was beautiful. So I think this is pretty essential viewing for anyone interested in movies, period. Like, there's a lot to take in, but it definitely makes good use of a movie house. And finally, one of the foundational movies that really, whenever I was a kid, I still remember getting this movie as a Christmas present. I can about remember how that Christmas smelled for some reason. But I remember this like nice, slick, shiny VHS, and this movie was just made for me. And I got the 4K recently. It's every kid's dream. And honestly, like, it got a little bit critically panned for no good reason. It's one of the best Christmas movies around, one of the best house movies. I got to give my number one pick to Home Alone. This movie is so funny, so fun to watch, so heartwarming. Joe Pesci is always a better actor than he has any right to be, it feels like, even though he's just that good of an actor. Like, he makes you feel like he's acting better than he is at acting. You know what I mean? So, like, Macaulay Culkin being like the perfect mix of charming and annoying and like sly, and just everything that he does in that works. Good supporting cast. That I think that whole scene with John Candy just being like improvised. The fact that the house is literally a defense fortress. Like, this is just like getting into the mind of a little kid, right? If I had criminals, what would I do? Well, I'd make all these elaborate little traps, and I'd trick them, and I'd make them slip on stuff and step on nails. And it makes great use of the house. I mean, if you ever think about how good Home Alone is, like, so much of this movie is just Kevin in the house learning stuff, right? Like, oh, I got to brush my teeth. Wait, I'm hiding under the bed and there's some popcorn, there's a spider. Like, there's so much stuff just in the house that's entertaining. Even the opening sequences that are so good, like spilling milk all over the passports or whatever, So those were my top 10 picks of movies that I like that are house related. If you have some you'd like to add in the comments, I'd love to hear what movies you're thinking of. For reference, I have not seen all of the House movie, the 70s one, the Japanese one. I've only seen pieces of that. So I'll put that out there as something that I thought somebody might talk about. But also, if you like the content, if you could hit the like button. Like buttons do grow YouTube channels. That's awesome. And I'm looking forward to moving into this here house. So we'll see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.